Alright, y'all, welcome to Ellis Mowers. I feel like I got a little bit more room in the garage. I've got obviously a smaller mower here we're going to work on, but it seems like I just have more room in the garage right now, just getting rid of a few things and whatnot at the time of filming. So this is what we're going to work on today. I appreciate y'all watching as always. You can catch new videos for me every Wednesday and Sunday at 8 p.m. right here on the channel. So thank you for those who are watching. Thank you for those who subscribe. We're going to work on this Murray today. It's an 8 horsepower 30-inch cut rear engine rider. This thing is in excellent shape for how old it is. I believe it's a 90. I believe the motor said it was made in 92. It's an 8 horsepower Briggs. I've had one of these before. That was a Tecumseh. It's made in 92, January 18th of 90, no, January 920120. January 20th of 1992 is when this was made, according to the date code on it. The guy bought the snapper from me. I actually traded him the snapper. He bought a push mower from me earlier in the year. Yard was a little bit too big for him to push mow, so he had that and this, and I gave him the snapper in return. So it runs, actually runs pretty good. Let me crank it up for you. If I can get the parking brake to engage, there we go. He put a new battery in it too, brand new battery. Well, it ran yesterday. It ran yesterday, I knew that. Let's see. I actually honestly think it's flooded. It's like it really wants to. You hear it trying. I'm not going to wear that. I probably worn the starter. Starter ain't even hot. Huh. Anyways, I heard it run yesterday. It's not running right now. But the issue is not with the motor, from what I understand. The issue is with the transmission. And the transmission, what it has done is it was rebuilt not by the guy that I got it from, but a previous person. He says it didn't work. What I believe has happened is, you see those spacers? I believe that they put the spacers on the wrong side of the transmission, because when you look underneath, and it's really, really tight underneath. So I'm going to have to take the deck off and stuff to work on this thing. But kind of puzzled why it's not running, but because it ran great yesterday. You see how tight all that stuff is down there? So I'm going to take the deck off of this thing, and I'm going to work on it. And what the thing is they put the spacers on the wrong side of the transaxle. So what it's doing is, I'm in the process of taking the deck belt off of this. What it is doing is it's slipping the drive belt, and none of the drive belt pulleys are lining up on it. So you have all these drive belt pulleys that aren't lining up, so it's obviously not driving right now. However, it seems like all the gears work because I've got it in neutral and I can push it with the tires being not flat. Well, I did. This thing is making a fool out of me right now. Because I've got the parking brake on. Wow. Now it should roll. You can see it's rolling fine. And the gears work, from what I can tell. Because if I can find a gear for it. There, reverse works. Reverse works. There's a gear. There you go. So, the gears work. The guy actually rebuilt the transaxle, but put it in wrong. So, the goal is here, I want to try and put it in right. Never really done extensive transaxle work before. So let me get my blankets out and all this other good stuff, and we'll go ahead and take the deck off of it, and then we'll try and access this transmission. And I'm just going to crank on it a little bit to see if I can get the thing to run so that I'm not made a liar out of this thing. There we go. It's really hard to start though, as you can see. So I think it's got a little bit of work to do to get it running right as well. But obviously it is running. I wonder if it's a little low on compression or something. I don't know. The motor's almost 30 years old. Let me get the deck off. I'll show you how to get the deck off, and then we will continue with the transaxle. So let me show you how far I've gotten. I have taken off little cotter pins here. There's one in the back right there that connects on to a deck lever, which connects on, I'll have to show you where it connects back there in the back. And then there's a cotter pin in the front that slides in and out, or that slides out. And then there's a little locking or a little rod that you pull out that looks like that, and it's basically in there like so. You just pull it out, and then right here, this arm is connected to this spring, which you'll see if you're taking off one of these decks, and it's held in by a cotter pin in one of these. So I've gotten that far. Now, I think what I've got to do now is I've got to take off these 1/2 inch adjustment bolts. Which are not going to come off that easy. Because what I can't do right now, because these are attached up on the top here. And either way, I got to take out a bolt and a nut. So I'm going to take these off, and there's a 1/2 inch in the back too. So I'm going to take these off, put a wrench in the back there, and then we should be able to slide the deck out. So when I get to that point, slide the deck out, we'll do so. Obviously, you have to take the deck belt off of the mower as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we'll slide her out. Alright, so here's what I've done. I've put the thing up on a couple of jack stands. I'm going to separate out the jack stands a little bit. I was just able to pick the thing up. This mower is not that terribly heavy, so I just picked it up and put it on there. That'll give me more room to work underneath it. It should be away from the transaxle enough for me to drop it, because I'm going to have to drop this entire thing because of the way that this pulley is up here. The pulley is loose. I forgot to mention that. So I've got to put the pulley back on like it's supposed to. I also, yeah, I have to figure that out. That's the main reason why I got to drop the whole thing. And also I have to change out the spacers, because I'm almost positive that the spacers are supposed to go up here and not down here, because this pulley is much higher than the drive pulley and then the tensioner pulley. There's only 3 pulleys on there. So the belt looks okay from what I can tell. This is a Spicer transaxle. You can see that somebody has been in it. And sealed it back up. Hopefully they did a good job, because I ain't gonna break it open. So I believe these are 7/16. I'm just gonna get my little impact. I'm gonna go on the bottom and take these nuts off, and then go on the top and take those nuts off, or the bolts off the top there. After I take the wheels off, and you know what? Y'all like to see me work? Or at least I hope. Sometimes get comments like, show your work, show your work. Okay, I'm gonna show my work. Y'all gonna watch me work. I'm gonna take these E-clamps off first, pull these wheels off. They should come off easily. This thing is an awesome shape for its age. So if I did time lapses, I wish I had time, honestly, to make better quality videos for you. But I do this on the side, and I stay so busy with this that it's all I can do to get a video made and out. If y'all didn't, none of y'all know, because I haven't said on the channel, but I graduated with a degree in electronic media. And so I know how to make professional videos. The problem is it takes a whole lot of time to do that. So time that if I want to crank out some lawnmowers, I really don't have. If the powers that be have it so that I eventually can do this full time, which would be really awesome, then I would obviously put more time into the videos. So let me get my, is that a half on the bottom? I was mistaken. This is a half on the bottom here. So let me grab a half. This is my half, and then I need my little small impact. Let's see. Here it is. So we'll take these off. Here we go. Like I said, I think the spacers, I think y'all can see that. I think the spacers go right there above it as opposed to below it. I'm sure this thing's not that heavy either. Here's what I'm gonna do. Yeah. Put this tire. This block of wood under it. That way it doesn't fall too far whenever it falls. I don't want to break anything, nor do I want to have to take it completely off if I can avoid that. That's the third one. And last but not least, that'll help it some. All right. Now, what do I have? Let me show you what I got here. So I have a shift linkage. It's resting on the wood. I have a shift linkage up there, right there, that I need to take off. I think if I can take that off, I'll be able to slide the transaxle out and we can give us a little look at the pulley up there. Let me see if I can get the belt on top of the pulley. I was able to do that. That was relatively easy. All right. Let me feel up here and see if it's a bolt, if it's a nut that's missing. Well, it's just wobbly. It's almost like it's missing a washer or something. Like I need to put a washer on it. I'm still going to take it out because I don't want a wobbly transaxle. So let me take that shift linkage off. I don't think I could take it off right there and get it down. Let me see if I can take it off on the top there. Once I get that off, we'll drop this thing down and out, which, like I said, should not be terribly difficult. And we'll inspect the pulley, and then we'll just drop it back in, see what happens. This ain't as hard as I was gonna think, or as that I thought it was going to be so far. So we'll see. All right, let me show you what I've done so far. So this is the parking brake arm. So I got, if I can speak, got the parking brake arm. It's just a little cotter pin, like, oh, where is it? Like this. And then I was able with some needle noses to get the cotter pin out for the shift arm. So now I've got that off, the shift arm is off, and I think we can drop this thing. Let me sit you down and let's get it out. Easy so far, famous last words, but gotta lift it up over the jack stand right there. Pull the bolts out. Here. She's out. All right. let's see what we've got here. Huh. Okay. We have something rather interesting. Let me grab a tool to get my ring pliers. Let me grab my ring plier tool. Let's actually go together. I'll tell you one thing. This is a greasy job, so don't be afraid to, well, I don't really wear gloves. I probably should in some instances, but I don't sometimes. So that's what we got going right there. We can easily fix that if we need to. Let's see. It's almost like, oh no, I think we're okay. Let's see. So there's the key. You can see where the key has been relatively worn on this, on the side. I don't know if you can see that. Mostly on the bottom down there. So if I could pop it back on the top here and put the unworn side on the top. Well, oh, that's one of these semicircle keys. This is a 3975 Spicer, if anybody was curious. I've got some sort of washer down here that came off, probably came off of the shift arm when I took it off, so I'll put that aside as well. Because only part of that key is rounded off. I mean, I could tack weld it. That is an option. I don't like these round keys because you can't have them on sometimes. Yeah, y'all, I'm tempted to get the welder out and just tack weld this thing on. Wouldn't be too difficult, and you know it won't come off if I did that. Because that's the issue, is it's had way too much play. It's got way too much play in it. You see where the pulley is worn also. So I could just do that. I could even shove a second key down in there, because there's on the bottom, let's see on the bottom. Is there any area on the bottom that's open down there? Not really. I wonder if a Briggs key would, like a little Briggs flywheel key, would fit right down there. And then what I could do is I could just tack weld it in a couple of spots low enough to where I can put the ring back on it, the O-ring, or the O-clip, C-clip, whatever you call it, back on it. And then we'll be in good shape. So let me troubleshoot a little bit. I'll get back to you on what I do. So the welder prevails again. Instead of trying to source a key for it and another pulley, because I'm pretty sure the pulley and the key would have both need replaced, I just lined it up and just welded it on. It's going to perform the same duties that it needs to. And I mean, this Transaxle is probably never going to be rebuilt, so might as well just go ahead and weld her up, see what we got. I know it's not the best way to do it, but she's on there and she's not moving and is working great with the pulley, so because it's now fully married to the shaft, which, I mean, it needs to be anyways. I had to eliminate the play on it, and all that good stuff. And this is my pitch as to, I got this welder for Christmas, so I've had it a few months now, and this thing has saved my rear end about 3 or 4 times already with fixing stuff. I fixed a deck with it, I fixed a few other things. So let me go ahead. I'm going to pick it up with 2 hands. Let me get the transaxle back up here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and raise it. I might put the linkages and stuff back on for you, but I'm going to go ahead and raise it up and mount it up, since I showed you how to take it all off, and I'll show you how to put the spacers on the correct way, or at least what I believe to be the correct way here in just a second. Alright, so this is a little bit unconventional, but let me show you what I'm doing to get this transaxle back in. So what I did is I've got the tire down there on the bottom, and I put the transaxle on the tire. Now I have a little 1.5 ton Harbor Freight jack that fit right here on the back. I had to put it sideways instead of forward because the tire with the transaxle wouldn't have fit back here if I didn't do that. So I was able to get it up there into the pulley, right in the slot where it needs to go, right? So now I'm in the process of I've put the spacers in on the correct side now. So now what I'm in the process of doing is getting it right, and all I want to do is get these bolts through the transaxle, which I've done right there, and I'm about to do right here, hopefully. So yeah, bolts through the transaxle, just like that. Let me line it up on the other side. I'll let y'all watch me. And once we get this lined up, we're in good shape. Basically, it's just plug and play after this. At least I hope. I hope the transaxle is good. We're doing all this work. Really, this has not taken me terribly long. So I'll thread these bolts back in. Obviously, because I welded the pulley on, I didn't worry about putting the little C-clip, O-clip, whatever you want to call it, ring clip back on. So now, we're just popping these bad boys in. And then I get the other 2 nuts. Now, I'm almost certain this will fix our issues that we were having with the pulley, number 1, being loose, and number 2, it not being lined up. We'll check that in just a second. Alright, I got it a little too low. I got to get the ratcheting wrench out, or the socket, and put that in. Let me put those 4 bolts in, and I'll rejoin you. And I'll show you how to put all the other linkages and stuff back on that I didn't really show you how to take off. And then, we'll see if we can take it for a drive. So it's all back up on here. Alright, so now, there's your brake, and there's your shifter. Those are your 2 linkages that you have to put back together. Now, the brake's easy, it's right here. The shifter I thought was hard, but it's really not too bad. If you put the shifter in 5th gear, it brings it back some. Brings it back pretty good amount. And you're able to get the cotter pin on pretty easily there. Just wanted to share that with you if you're doing a transaxle on this. Now, I just got to get the drive belt and stuff back on down there in the back. So that's the matter of just putting it back on the pulleys. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'll show you how it's oriented before I put the tires back on. And then we'll put the tires back on, crank it up, see if we got a driving lawnmower. Alright, we're going to get up under this thing as best as I can show you. And see if I can show you the way that the transaxle is. So, as of right now, the transaxle is lined up with the drive pulley. The issue is the tensioner pulley is way lower than it needs to be, and it's not connecting. I don't know if I can show you, but the trans pulley is not meshed with the rest of it, and I think over time that this bracket has been pulled down a little bit. So what we're going to do is I am going to attempt to take this bracket off here. I gotta show you under the mower, which is a bolt right here, and I also have to take that tensioner spring off, which I'm really excited about. Springs are one of the biggest things that I just absolutely hate taking off, because them things can spring back and like, they can't kill you, but they'll give you a good little jolt if you're not careful. I'm going to try one of these pry bars here to get it off. And so, let me show you. If we can get this pulley to where it's situated, I think we're going to be okay. Let's see if we can get this off without killing ourselves. Let's see. Tightens it or anything. Nah. Brake actually makes it worse. Let's see what we can do here. I'm never a fan of doing this. So, anyways, the gist is you get the spring out, and then make sure it's not easier under the mower here. Oh heck no, that's 10 times harder. So anyways, we gotta get the spring out. I'll get that spring out off camera. I'll show you. I'll tell you what I end up having to do with it. And then we're gonna take the bracket off. And part of me is tempted to just try some channel locks and just bend it while it's on the mower. But I don't think it's gonna bend that easily. I'll let y'all know what I do here in just a second. And I'll tell you what, I am in the process. I've got this thing all apart right now. Here's what I think has happened. I think I might have shared it already. I believe that this bracket right here has been bent down over the course of time because of the way that this spring is on here. And so my intention was just to take the bracket off. Well, what I ended up having to do is, because I had this bracket up in there, which also acts as a bracket to hold the drive belt or the drive pulley up and separate the drive pulley from the deck pulley. And so I had to take that off, which wasn't, I guess it wasn't terrible because I had to take off the bolt. It was a 5/8 bolt to get the main pulley off. That was easy to do with an impact. So now the challenging part is, so this is a bolt. This is the one bolt that's holding this whole assembly on still. And then I'll have the spring I'll have to deal with. And once I deal with that spring, I can take this off. But the issue is this bolt, if you look up on the top, I don't know if I can show you, it's under the motor. So I have to so I could not get a wrench on it. I have to go up under, on top of the motor with a 1/2-inch wrench, which I don't know if I can do with one hand. But I had to take all this mess off in order to just be able to get a wrench up here so that I could impact that off. So that's what I'm working on right now. Like I said, the tensioner pulley is about a belt width off, which is probably about a 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. So that's my goal, is to get that pulley up about a 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, because the trans pulley and the drive pulley on the mower are the same height now that I put the spacers in the right spot. So I tell you, honestly, it really has not been a bad job so far. I have not run into anything detrimental. It's just like the whole package that they put in the back side of these things is just, it's a lot in a little space. And so it's really, everything's really compact and you have to really kind of work around it. But let me get that wrench up there. I'll need 2 hands for it and use the impact. I'll get that pulley down and then we'll take it over to the vise and see if we can bend it up. We're going to have to do 2 bends so that everything is straight on it, so that the pulley isn't sitting like cockeyed or anything like that. Because I was told, somebody on my Instagram mentioned that all these pulleys have to be like perfectly aligned in order for this drive belt to work right. So that's what I'm going to work on here next. All right, this right here is turning out to be somewhat ridiculous. So I've taken the 4 motor bolts out and I've popped it up. There's my bolt that I gotta get to. So I don't even know if it's a 1/2 or a 9/16 at this point. Was it a 1/2? No, it was a 9/16. But the issue is, I have to go through, oh, this is the 9/16 right here. So I just had, is it a 5/8 then? No, it's a 9/16. Or is it a 1/2? No, 9/16. Okay. So I had to go through all this just to get this bracket off. That bracket off. Right there. Right. Yeah, right there. Just to get that bracket off. So now I've got the wrench on the top. This should allow me to take the rest of the bracket off here. And I should be able to get this spring off too while I'm at it. And then we'll get it onto the vise and pop it up. Ow. I'm hitting my head on everything here. So let me take that bolt off and we'll get this thing up by about a belt width. And hopefully that'll line all the pulleys up. And then we'd have all the pulleys lined. we can put the drive belt on, and in theory, this thing should work. But I tell you what, this has not been a terrible job in terms of difficulty, but just in terms of time and all you got to do just one simple thing that I want to do. Alrighty, y'all. Well, we're going to have to end part 1 here, as much as I hate to do it. But let me show you. Let me show you what was going on. This is the tensioner pulley, or the remainder of the tensioner pulley. It's supposed to have a little big ring of metal or plastic around it, and it obviously is down to the bearings because the metal has sheared off somehow, some way or the other. So I've got a pulley that I'm going to put on order. It should be here within about a week. So it's a little frustrating, just in the fact that you got to do either way. I have not done anything that I would not have had to have done, if you understand what I'm getting at. Because where this tensioner pulley mounts on this mower, it's got to come off anyways, because this bolt's too long for it to penetrate up to the top of the frame here. So I haven't done any additional work that I have not needed to do, which is encouraging. However, it's just such a pain that I've done all this work just to get to this, just to be able to take the tensioner off. Crazy. But anyways, you learn something new every day. I'm learning a lot with this project so far, which is great. But it's going to have to sit like this for a few days, so I'm going to put some wheels on it, and I'm going to plop it back in somewhere in this garage. I might even throw it in the shed over there on the side, just with all the parts just laying on it and everything. I really wouldn't want to do that, but anyways, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work on another project in the time being. But I want to end part 1 here, because we're going to come back to this. I fully believe that we can get this thing going. It's running okay. I have to do a little adjustments on the running. The condition overall is excellent of this thing, so I'd hate to part it out just because of a transaxle tensioner pulley. And y'all saw how wobbly that pulley was on the actual transaxle. So I think what happened was that pulley was wobbling back and forth, and it was putting a lot of undue stress on that tensioner pulley right there, which caused it to break. And so the guy probably thought that the transaxle was bad whenever that tensioner pulley broke on him. And so he pulled the transaxle, refilled it with oil and all that, and put it back together wrong to find out that wasn't even the problem. It's this tensioner pulley. So I wish it was just the transaxle pulley, because that would have been a whole lot easier. This thing will be running and driving already. But we'll get this one fixed. It's really not too bad of a job. It's just you got to take a lot of stuff off to get to it. It's like if you drive a Cadillac or something. It's like, you need to do a radiator. Oh, you got to take off 100 things in order to get to the radiator, or do a spark plugs or something like that. Anyways, I drive Hondas. They're easy to work on. I can do them myself. Rather work on mowers than cars any day of the week. But we'll get all this good stuff fixed in part 2, hopefully. I just want to end part 1 here on a cliffhanger. We'll come back to part 2, but for now, if you want to know what I'm doing in real time, you can catch me at Ellis Mowers 09 on Facebook and Instagram. And I'll catch y'all in the next video, part 2. Have faith, have courage. Let's get this thing done. looking forward to having a nice little Murray rear engine rider here before long. So I'll catch y'all then.